Welcome back to the Unwellness community. This week, because this does post bi-weekly, this week I want to talk about, or we will hear testimonies from people who have alleged abusive behavior from Bikram Choudhury. Now, I have covered my debunking of the Netflix documentary and how I feel like it was edited in their favor, but I wanted to take it away from the drama. I want to take away from the effects and the editing that a lot of these documentaries do. I want it to just be about hearing what they have to say. So I have included past people who've done teacher trainings with him, people who've alleged that they were, and this is a trigger warning, raped by him, and just treated as though he was a guru, master, he could do no wrong. And as somebody who has taught for Bikram Studios, there's definitely a culture, a very toxic culture in that community that I think starts with him. I'm not saying that I fully believe their stories. I do think that it's important to hear people out, and then you can decide whether you believe or not. So I'm not here to push anything on you. I'm just here to relay information, testimonies to you, and then you can decide if you want to go further and down the rabbit hole or not. So I'm going to leave you with this. Enjoy.
And whores, they're here for one thing: to spread their legs and make babies.
He was saying this in front of the whole class of people?
Yes, in front of 400 and some odd trainees.
What happened when you challenged him on it?
I walked up to him and I said, "Bikram, you're breaking my heart." That's what I said to him first. Why are you preaching hate when there's so much hatred already in this world?
And what was his reaction?
We don't sell love here, you bitch. Get out. Get this black bitch out of here. She's a cancer.
Like the first day we have to do introductions with Bikram, and so basically you say your name, how long you've been practicing, what studio you came from, and like what brought you to training. And when everybody was going and eventually it was my turn, I had already had a personal relationship with Bikram's family, because the studio owner that I practiced under was very close with them. So when I came up and said, "Hi, my name's Larissa and I'm from Seattle, and I've been wanting to be a teacher for a while now, and I'm finally in a position that I can come down here," and Bikram interrupts and is like, see her. He's like, "I've been telling her to come to teacher training. She listens to me, and now she's down here, and she's down here because of me." So
wow.
Basically, like, interrupted my introduction to take, I don't know, the responsibility for me being down there.
Yeah, and to maybe knowing who he is, take control away from you, even telling your own story.
Grooming, right?
You know?
The grooming process.
Like, I'll speak for her. You know, I mean, once you start to realize how those people who manipulate and predators act, you can, a lot of times, unfortunately, you see it after the fact.
Correct.
But you can be like, oh, that's what he was doing right there. He was like, all right, I'm gonna see where I can go with her already. See if I can just interrupt her and tell her who she is and what her story is and why she's here because of me. And then he sees, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, because it's like they're pushing the boundaries and seeing how far they can go.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was already a grooming process that was happening before that time, and I'd met him, a couple times before that.
Right.
So yes, I think that there is a lot of those pushing boundaries, seeing how far I can go, and having power and control over somebody else. But at the time, I'm, in my early 20s, and I'm looking up at him as my guru, my teacher, the creator of this practice that saved my life.
Exactly. I was going to say, like,
so I like, and also like the way I was raised, like, if you don't talk back to your elders, like you just, okay, he interrupted, sure, like, just be quiet and smile and nod and like,
well, and
be seen, not heard.
People who are into yoga enough to want to go to a school to learn to teach and own a yoga studio, you're passionate about it. This is the guy that created the whole thing. it'd be like meeting an idol almost.
Right.
Correct.
And they already have that power over you anyway. So it would be very hard to talk back or
argue against
them at all.
Yeah, but even like it's a power thing, even in the way of I'm going to make her feel special too, because I'm going to let everybody else know that I know her.
Yep.
And that I have, this is what I feel about her, so she can feel like I think she's special.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Which I actually didn't want to be special. It was really uncomfortable for me because I just wanted to be included in the training group and not be thought of as like the teacher's pet. Like I didn't want to have any of the special attention, even though I was already close with his family. I just wanted to be there and learn as much as I possibly could. But like he would ask where I was when they were telling their postures. We had to go through and do posture clinics and present our posture dialogue, and he would ask where I was and want me to come over and brush his hair. So in front of 300 people, I'm sitting brushing his hair, or if his wife wanted me to massage, or again, it's like, where's Larissa? And I get pulled off to do these, I don't want to say like an event, but just these tasks for them, and because they're considered the guru, like that's,
I mean,
everybody covets that position, and I was like, I don't want to be in this position. I just want to be like everybody else, and just go through teacher training and call it good. Like,
and for someone like that who is a narcissist, abuser, predator, and wants to create his own world, right, where everybody adores him, and those type of people can't even ever look at themselves and think how people couldn't adore them anyway.
Right.
But
and you also see a lot of people going to him for advice about life, not just yoga. And so he's very revered as like being a life coach as much as a yoga guru.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
That's the thing that bugs me, and we're going to get into more of your story and everything else. But whenever people who are abused and victims come forward and then they talk about their abuser, a lot of times people on the other side will, try to find reasons to discredit them. And that's one of the things that you should like think about on this occasion is you have this guy who is like hundreds and thousands of people dream of going to take his class. He's the guru to everybody, and now you're the special one that gets to brush his hair. Because like you even think about like, why would I ever want to brush somebody else's hair? But if someone who you revere is like, and people would treat him like a spiritual god almost in that circle, you're gonna feel so special that you were able to do that. And that's like the whole system that I think he created and still currently is in, by the way.
Which
we'll get into that, and that is outrageous to me. But that's the whole. I mean, it feels like that's the whole thing he was creating, was just a way, kind of an ancillary group where people who adore him, and he can do whatever he wants to them.
Yes.
So the first, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, and you have a culture that supports it, and it's like his culture in India is different than our culture here, and so you normalize abnormal behavior. Like, I don't massage my dad's feet or my mom's feet. I don't comb their hair. Like, that's not normal. But also being young and not knowing the difference of like, here's a yoga guru, the culture is different. I guess this is what we do as a way of paying respect. And to be of service. And it's a lot about being of service, and I think that's part of the grooming process that you don't even realize is happening while it's happening.
And on a personal note, for me, when you're talking about that, my dad was also an abuser and a predator, and a very narcissistic guy who was not as what's the word I'm trying to think of, anyway, he would have never been able to create something as big as what Bikram could. My dad was a weak, kind of dumb man. But he had his family who he could create that system in. And as a kid, even in high school, he would have all of us rub his feet and things like that. And it was disgusting to me even as a kid. I'm like, why am like, this is weird. Why is my dad making me? But he's my dad and I have to do it, and I have to like respect his authority or whatever. And I never really actually looked up to him, but I was so manipulated in a way where I was like, I have to, I guess, look up to this guy and I have to like rub his feet. But that's pushing a boundary, because it's weird if you're making your kids rub your feet, especially if they're older kids. Like it's just odd. But if you're in those type of communities and that type of system, it's hard for you to go, this isn't normal, until somebody else maybe that has had a more normal thing sees it, you know. But especially for you guys, it's hard for you guys to go, this isn't normal. You're like, I don't even know his culture. He, you know, they might want, everybody might rub each other's feet over there.
Well, I was going to also say, like, the people that did speak up would get kicked out.
Exactly.
So you have a concentrated audience of people who are easily manipulated.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we are enabling the behavior without realizing that we're enabling the behavior.
Do you practice yoga today?
No. No, I tried a few months ago, I think, and I didn't make it in the door. I showed up and I ended up crying in the parking lot. I couldn't go in, but it was a good first step, I think, trying to take a yoga class.
He definitely took something from me that I've never been able to get back again.
Which is?
My love for myself, my purpose in life. I can't do yoga anymore. It makes me feel sick.
He's no longer like the treasured teacher, the mentor. He's, you know, the man who raped me.
Is Bikram Choudhury a predator?
Yes, he's a sexual predator.
And you say that so strongly because?
Because of my experience, because of the other women's experience. There are women who are frightened, women who are still in his community, who have moved up in rank.